What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talking with Beauties, episode 113. And on today's episode, unfortunately, we're not doing Wednesday news. We are doing an interview. We got a softball pitcher that we mentioned a couple weeks ago when we did another solo episode when it was about college softball. We got my dear friend from UCF. She's a two-time D1 high school softball champion. She also played in 4 regionals when it came to college softball. My dear friend, Sarah Willis. What's going on, Sarah?
Hey Miles, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm out here in Orlando. It's hot. Trying to stay cool, but also
Yeah,
trying to get a good tan. So,
nice.
yeah.
Nice. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I know we talked about this back in, I think Christmas time. We had a Christmas party together back home.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about this for a little while. All right, so on today's episode, we're going to talk about Sarah's journey in softball. So we're going to talk about her high school journey. She was at Norco High. We're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about her transferring, or not transferring, her recruiting to Washington, then transferring to UCF, and then see if there's any journey in the future for her. So we're going to talk about Norco High to start it off. So Sarah, you were at Norco from sophomore to senior year. So freshman year, you weren't with us. What went into transferring over to Norco High?
To be honest, my family moved from Chino, California, where I was originally living, to Ontario. So it was a extra 20 minutes away from my original high school, Ayala High School. And I finished out my freshman year. My mom was like, we'll just see how the drive is. And it ended up being kind of a little bit much. But then also just the caliber of softball, it was good, but I just wanted to be able to get better and play those elite level teams. So I decided to transfer. And honestly, my first option was to go to Roosevelt. I wanted to go to Roosevelt because it was literally right around the corner from my house. Yeah. I live a 5-minute drive from Roosevelt. And so I was planning on going there, but their school is super huge and they have a lot of people go there. My sister does go now because we're in the school district. We've lived there and everything. So it's not an issue for her, but I didn't get into Roosevelt when I tried to. So then I was like, okay, well, Marco's definitely the next, well, not the next best thing, but obviously the softball's at that caliber and then the school wise too. So I decided to transfer to Norco after my freshman year and couldn't be happier with that decision because I definitely grew and I was also able to play basketball at the same time. So I got to letter in basketball and varsity for 3 years at the same time, which was really cool. Because I feel not a lot of athletes that at least not a lot of people that I know were always other sport athletes in high school and that lettered in varsity. There are a few people on my team when I ask them, but I feel especially with pitchers, a lot of coaches are want to put you in bubble wrap so you don't get hurt. But
Yeah.
I'm not different, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be able to be athletic and just have fun, not always do the normal. So yeah.
Nice.
And
So yeah, for
then
you.
from there, oh,
Oh,
go
no,
ahead.
continue.
Sorry.
Sorry, no, continue.
No, and I was just gonna say I didn't get recruited a lot during high school. Most of my recruiting stuff happened in travel ball. There
Oh,
was,
okay.
yeah. I feel now, at least for softball, you don't really get recruited in high school by most coaches from what I know of. Most of the recruiting
Okay.
I've seen is done in the travel ball scene. You don't really
Even
see a
despite
lot of
your guys'
coaches.
ranking?
Yeah, I mean, my coaches came and watched me play because they just wanted to see me play in high school and see the type of player I was outside of travel ball and everything because they'd watched me play travel ball already. But most coaches really, I feel, at least from what I've heard, most coaches don't go to games
Okay.
unless it's local. Washington
Okay.
is a 2-hour flight to California, so it's not that bad. But it's more different than them staying in state and going to see another player. One of my friends who was getting recruited by Georgia, they came and watched her game because she lives in Georgia. So I just think it just depends on the school and the coaches.
Okay.
But yeah, most of recruiting is done in travel ball.
Okay. That's interesting. I would have expected, because if you guys don't know high school softball, which it's unless you're in it, you probably don't have too much knowledge. Norco was a top 5 school from our freshman year to senior year in the nation. So you saying that it's not getting a lot of recruiting outside of just travel ball, that surprises me. I mean, even you guys being that dominant in your years. Just to put in perspective, you specifically played 59 games. You went 34-1 in your pitching stats with a 1.15 ERA, 339 strikeouts to 108 walks. I mean, that's unbelievable numbers. Your opponent batting average was a 179. So I don't know why recruits aren't looking at that kind of stuff, because those numbers are unbelievable, especially when you're also going and you're batting for yourself as well. Batting at over 400, 409, 12 home runs, 47 RBIs in your high school career. I mean, those are great numbers. I don't know what else you need to be great right there. I mean, those are awesome numbers.
Yeah. I think California is like a mecca of softball. So there's definitely more opportunities for you to play like better competition in high school. But I also think that like coaches don't there's different recruiting periods too. So like during high school season is when college softball coaches are in their like the start of their season.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
that's also another reason why they probably like don't come down as much. But I know it's different because like on the East Coast, some schools like depending on like what the weather is like in those states, like I know one of my friends, one of my catchers on my team, like she's from Georgia and they play in the fall because the
Okay.
weather isn't as good in the spring coming into the until the summer.
Okay. So that definitely helps with them with
Yeah.
recruiting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, you are a 2-time Division One champ. Let's just take a look into those national championships. Was there a lot of added pressure going into those games? I mean, it's a lot of games going up into it. The bracket's giant, but because of how good you guys played for those sophomore and junior years, you guys got the bye for the first round. So a little bit less games to play compared to everyone else. But going into all those games, did the pressure keep added, or was it just another game for all you girls?
I think we really just went in with the mindset that like each game is the most important game because you can't look past the game in front of you, talking about other opponents and what they do, what pitchers they have, and all of those sorts. Really just focusing on the game that you're playing. I think one of the most important things in high school too is that not that it's not as competitive as travel ball, but like it's a different scene because you're not playing with the same girls that you usually play with like every single weekend. So building a camaraderie and a good culture with your team and then just honestly just trying to outlast the other team and score more runs than them is the main thing. Luckily, like obviously for Norco, like you said, like we've been ranked top in the nation for multiple years when we were there. So I think
Yeah.
that that caliber of talent definitely takes a little bit of the weight off your shoulders because you're not really worrying about like having to constantly pitch no hitters, perfect games, all of those things, like knowing that your defense is going to have your back. Um, just playing more lax. I feel like with me when I played high school ball, I wasn't as like I didn't put as much pressure on myself because I knew like this was like that was the getaway, even though like I was still playing and still working to get better. It was kind of like my getaway to just go have fun and like play with no fear.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that. Yeah. Yeah, your roster was star-studded. I'll pop up something right now because I don't have the roster in front of me right now, but you guys had a lot of recruits going to a lot of different Power 5 conferences. So you guys definitely had the best talent out of a lot of high schools, not just in California, but the nation as well.
Hmm.
So you mentioned that a lot of recruiting came out of your travel ball, and you played travel ball for a long time, but you ended up deciding on Washington. So what was going into the decision on Washington?
So I was originally committed to the University of Auburn, like verbally committed my eighth grade year, and then some stuff happened with the coaching staff. So going into my sophomore year, I reopened recruiting, and Washington was one of the schools that like it was interested in me, and I was interested in them. And I was also trying to make sure that when I was looking at recruiting, that I was looking at the school aspect too, seeing what schools were the best school wise, not only softball. Um, I definitely lean towards like a not that Washington isn't a good school, like it's super hard to get into, but definitely
Yeah.
I definitely also lean toward like which one was the best softball school.
Okay.
Um, so and Washington's always in there. They're always a competitive school. Like you see them out there in their purple jerseys, like you want to be one of them. They just always look so happy. Like I just wanted to be a part of that. And it didn't take long to get into contact with them. And next thing you know, I was verbally committed and then just kind of worked really hard just to get to be a better player in travel ball. And then I was super excited to get to sign to UW and become a Husky.
Yeah, so you were there for your first 2 years, and you happened to be on two teams that got to go to regionals, and you guys hosted regionals. So, what is the mindset going into that? I know you guys had very good years both of those years, but
Mhm.
hosting a regional, that is usually the goal for any softball or baseball player going in from high school to college. How was that feel? I mean, you got to pretty much be the leader of those regionals.
Uh, hosting regionals is definitely it. It gives you like a breath of fresh air because you know that you get to stay home and play, but then it's also like, okay, well, we can't let them come into our complex and win against us and take the regional at our complex. So I think it goes both ways, being calm, playing with passion and excitement, but then also just knowing that like it's bigger than the game itself because you get to go out there and you get to play with your friends and you get to have a good time. And getting to do that two times, host at home, was awesome. And then my freshman year also we made super regional, so then we ended up getting to go to Oklahoma and get to battle against them, and that was also a great opportunity, just getting to see like the caliber of play from different schools. Um, but definitely just getting to play postseason in general is a dream because that's what you like. I mean, that's what I thought about since I was a little kid when I was 10 years old, going out to watch the Marionette Classic in Cathedral City, watching all those teams, and then watching the World Series on television. That's the dream. So playing postseason is definitely just like a dream within a dream.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, unfortunately, your freshman year, you did have to go to Oklahoma, which Norman's a very nice stadium, but
Mhm.
that team, you got them on the bad side of history. I mean, that team ended up going to win their national championship that year. And then the following year, your sophomore year, you guys unfortunately did not make out of regionals. You guys lost to Texas, but they became the Texas we see now, which is another powerhouse school. They made it to the championship, lost to Oklahoma though, but now we see Texas once again a top seed in college softball. So unfortunately, it seemed like you guys just had the bad straw. You guys played against the best teams ever. I mean, in those years, which is unfortunate news. But as you said, the caliber definitely prepared you for the future. I would think, right?
Absolutely. I think, like you said, getting to play those caliber teams was an awesome experience. And even though like I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to get against them, getting to see like the speed, the quickness, the power that like people possess and like how they translate that through softball, I think is super cool because you're getting to show other people just like how an elite of a player that you are. And definitely like playing them then compared to now, obviously like I'm a different player um than I was then, but I think just still like them being consistent and keeping that same demeanor throughout the years is definitely something that any good collegiate softball team needs to have if they want to go far.
Yeah, no, well said there. So after your sophomore year, you came back home and hung out with Summer for with us and stuff like that. You actually ended up telling us that you were going to transfer, which surprised me, especially because I was like, oh, Washington, Pac-12. I'm an Arizona State guy, obviously. You guys know that. So I was like, I get to watch you all the time. And I was like, well, where the hell are you going to go then? Like, I mean, I watch you play at Washington all the time. I like the purple, as you mentioned, and stuff like that. And then you told me you're going to Orlando to play for UCF. So what happened there? Like, what went into the decision going to UCF, going pretty much across country to play college softball?
I loved Washington. I loved the campus, the team, the like staff and everything. I just wanted to be able to experience like a more more of an opportunity to get to be a starter. And I did start a little bit in the outfield, but I really wanted to be able to become like an elite pitcher. And so that
Okay.
was one of the main reasons why I decided to enter the transfer portal because I wanted to go out and be able to lead a team to regionals to win, like just leading a team to wins and leading a team to be better. And so put my name in the transfer portal after we lost. And then I just started recruiting again. I went and played in the Florida Gulf Coast League for softball. And so I
Okay.
came down to Sarasota and Bradenton and played um, 2 years in a row, actually, 2 summers in a row. But I went and played that summer to figure out what teams could be a possibility for me. And I had like a decent amount of people reach out. I think that it was honestly I this next time I was definitely looking more at the school aspect of transferring because I was like, I'm not gonna leave again. Like I don't have any extra eligibility. Like I only have these 2 years left. I need to make the most out of it. I need to find a place that's right for me that has the broad spectrum of things that I want for school wise. And UCF was big on their communications, journalism, and broadcasting, and I kind of wanted to get into something around there. Um, and yeah, obviously, like watching UCF, like I knew some of the people on the team previously already that I played with from California. So that was a plus. Just seeing their culture and just seeing how they play and how like they're just like they look like they're just a bunch of menaces. Like just some of the stuff that they did, like it's just like playing the game longer, taking extra bags, just all of those things. And so that was honestly that was why I decided to transfer to UCF.
Interesting. So when you did transfer, obviously it's a different culture shock. It's a different school, a whole different campus, everything like this. What was the hardest thing to get used to when you did make that transfer?
I feel like probably the hardest thing was just like the weather. Like, and not that it was
Really?
difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, not that it was difficult to like adjust to because I'm used to heat, but just like the humidity and trying to figure out like how not to let that affect me trying to throw. Just like that's honestly one of the biggest things. I feel like Orlando's a great city to live in. It's not like it's really big, so it's like crowded but not crowded. So and then uh, living near campus is great. And like campus is pretty central. Like it's one of the biggest public schools and public universities in the nation. But like there's a few different campuses and feels like home. And
Nice. That's good. If it feels like home, that makes the adjustment very easy.
yeah,
So you mentioned Orlando. It's a great city. It's got a lot of touristy stuff. What are some things that you do outside of softball, whether it's with teammates, whether it's not with teammates? Do you go out and do things that's in Orlando?
um, I like to. Me and my roommate will go to the springs, which is like where you. It's like spring water and it's like little lakes and ponds of those things, and we can paddleboard. Um, some of them have alligator sightings. I haven't been to one that has had any alligators while I've been there. Because I told my roommate I was like, I'm not getting eaten by an alligator. So she like tried to look up one of the ones that like had the least amount of sightings. But you can see manatees there. People go tubing. It's really just like a chill little atmosphere, and it's really fun because you can sit out there all day, tan, do whatever, bring games to play.
Nice.
But it's just something to do like on an off day. I like to go and find new food places too. Obviously, because I'm not in
Okay.
California, so it's like a different food scene. Um, and then sometimes there's like markets downtown on Saturdays and Sundays, and so I'll go down when I'm not playing. Go downtown, go walk around, get some food, see some
Nice.
dogs. Yeah.
Nice. So when you're back home, we all like to go to In-N-Out. I think that's one of your top spots. Is there anything comparable out there, burger wise, fast food wise, anything? No,
I
no.
personally like I've been to places that have had good burgers, and that's one thing when people talk to me about In and Out, they're like, "Well, the fries aren't good." I'm like, "You don't go to a burger place to get fries." Like I understand they could like step up the fry game. Yeah. But that's not the point of In and Out. The point of In and Out is it's called In and Out Burger. So
Yep.
um
Yep.
I honestly BurgerFi, like there's a whole bunch of different burger places. There's places with good burgers. I just In and Out's my number.
Number one. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great spot. And for anybody who says Whataburger is a better spot, you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. Sarah and I both agree. And actually, all the guys, we had a fast food restaurant rankings. We all agreed that In-N-Out was a top one. So, Whataburger. I'm sorry, I got to step away from top tier there. So, let's get into your junior year. You played outstanding. And when I mean outstanding, I mean outstanding. Hitting wise, you hit 228. You were on base just under 300. Hit your career high in a season, 4 home runs, 14 RBI. So your best hitting statistic year. But your pitching is where you mentioned that's you want to prosper in, which was also your best year as well. 19 wins, 4 losses, 1 save, which interesting. I didn't know you were saving games as well. 152.1 innings pitched, opponent batting average of 186. So these are great numbers. It led you into a regional in Tallahassee against Florida State. So going into that year, what was some of the biggest highlights that you wanted to that just kind of stick in your mind from that year?
Definitely my perfect game. I threw a perfect game against Houston that year, and it was the first 7 inning perfect game in program history.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, there'd been 5 inning perfect games thrown, and that means that they probably mercied the other team. So that's why it was only a 5 inning game. But throwing a perfect game is definitely like probably it's probably my top highlight of my career in college in general. Um, because to be able to do that, just everything has to
Everything has to be perfect. You got to rely on your fielding. You got to rely on even just
everything,
umpires.
everything.
I mean, you got to hope that they're giving you those strikes, and a
Yes.
lot of things have to go down. Your team ended up beating Houston 7-0, so you were close to that mercy right
Mhm.
there. Was that it lingering in the back of your head? Like, I want to win, obviously, but I also don't want to see an 8th run come on the board right now.
Honestly, I didn't think anything about the perfect game until probably like the 6th inning.
Okay.
So I wasn't really like obviously I think like throw a perfect game every game, but I try not to think about it throughout the game because then that'll just like I just try to pitch too fine. So
Yeah.
definitely it honestly it was just there. Like I said, everything has to work together. I don't think that many people can say they've thrown a perfect game. So that's definitely yeah. I think it's cool.
No, that's a great accolade, regardless of level. If you're doing it in little league, that's impressive. If you're doing it at the college level, that's very impressive. So, yeah, that's definitely. I was gonna hit that highlight, so I'm glad you did. Obviously, so we head to your senior year, and UCF made some big announcements along with some other schools that they were going to move into the Big 12 conference, which means added teams to the conference, which makes it more difficult to win, obviously, plus scheduling stuff. So we're traveling and things like that. So how difficult, if it was difficult at all, was the adjustment going from the American Conference to the Big 12 conference?
I think the not that the AAC wasn't a great conference, but I just think that the caliber of play is definitely a little bit heightened in the Big 12 just because it's like you're just going to see the bigger, taller, more strong athletes, and everybody's going to be like that on the team. It's not just going to be a few players. And so I think that was one of the main things that I needed to take into account because I'm like, I'm a good enough pitcher to get these people out. Like, I don't need to overdo it. I just need to go out there and work my hardest to become better and just so I can have a good time messing with people when I go on the mound.
Yeah, no, you said Big 12. I personally think probably one of the hardest conferences. Maybe SEC's up there too, but one
Yeah.
of the hardest conferences to be a powerhouse in because we have teams like Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Texas, which all 3 teams have had great years. But you happen to play all of them. You had one of the best games of recent history against a team of Oklahoma, which is very hard to do. But unfortunately, I was looking at the score line of that one. You did end up losing that one 2-1, but you still put up a great performance. Do you think performances like that help leap you guys into getting into another regional, which was back at Tallahassee?
I definitely think that just the whole schedule that we played against the Big 12 definitely prepared us for. what we had to do. And obviously it didn't turn out the way that we wanted, but I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to just show what UCF softball is about. Like it just in terms of like people being like I like because I just heard some of these things where people are like, oh well, AAC pitcher of the year is way different than being in the Big 12. And so definitely working really hard to show people that UCF is even though they consider us underdogs, like we're a force to be reckoned with and we can give those big teams a run for their money and also win against big teams. And like you said, the like we ended up losing that game. I think we over our whole season we had 11 one-run losses.
Wow.
11 games where we lost by one run and it was literally multiple times where the runners in scoring position and we just didn't get the job done. And those are honestly like some of the most toughest games to think about because you know, it's
It's a
like,
lot of what ifs going through your head now.
yeah,
It's like, oh,
it's
what
like,
if I got a hit there? Or what if I struck out that batter instead? It's like,
mhm.
it's definitely demoralizing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, as we mentioned, you guys did make another regional, which was your fourth regional. So you were already used to this. Probably one of the most experienced on the team at this season going into that. You had to play Auburn for an elimination game. Unfortunately, lost another close one, 2-1. But this one went 12 innings. You had all 12 innings pitched, 200 pitches. Does that wear on your arm? That many pitches in a game?
That's definitely the most pitches I've ever thrown in a game before. I think at that point it was all just adrenaline because
Okay.
we started our game at 10:30 Eastern time. We didn't leave. We didn't finish the game until 3:30 in the
Whew.
morning. So if it would have been during the day, probably wouldn't have not that it wouldn't have been as hard, but I think just like the delirium and everything definitely set in. But I was locked in as long as I was locked in. I was excited. Obviously, like you said, the game didn't turn out like we wanted, but I had a really good time being able to be out there all of those 12 innings and keep them on their toes, keep them guessing.
No, yeah, you pitched very well. My dad sat down and watched the whole game, which, by the way, my dad loves watching you. He loves watching college softball. My aunt played college softball, so he's always been around it. So every year we sit down and watch regionals, super regionals, World Series. But he's like, tell Sarah, I love watching it, especially if there's somebody that I can physically like know. He's like, I don't know you personally, but since you
Oh,
know him, I'm gonna watch her. So he loves watching you, and he loves sitting down and watching that game. So it was definitely fun for him. We sat down and watched that one.
I appreciate that. Love the support. It's always nice to hear. Like, obviously, like I love having fans like outside, but it's cool to still have like people who are close to me be able to watch and support. It's very great. Tell your dad I said thank you, and I hope that I can
Will
be him.
do, will do. So he actually had a couple questions for you.
Okay.
So this year he noticed that everyone's wearing like these watches on their wrist, which looks like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch kind of size. Were you wearing one? And if you were, what is it? Is it just pitch calls?
Yeah. So it's called a pitch com, and it's the same size as an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, and you wear it on your wrist and I wore mine on my glove because I just don't like having extra things on my wrist. So I just strapped it onto my glove and wore it that way. But it communicates pitch calls. And then, like, my coach also put, like, what's it called? Like, defensive calls too.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. So you can do, like, a few different things. But yeah, they're mainly for pitch calling because of the pitch clock to help speed up time in between pitches. So instead of having to do
Okay.
like her card, then the pitch com, she just presses a few buttons and it pops up the call sign and then we get going.
Is it similar to what the MLB has with the hat, where
Yes.
they put it right inside that? Okay.
So for them, they put so the thing that they put inside of their hat is like a the catcher calls it and then it says it like it says it to them. So ours is the same thing. Our coaches had those like with them so they
Okay.
could
How much say do you have in what pitch is going to come up, or do you have no say at all?
I mean, I don't have a say, but my coach always said like if you don't wanna pitch the pitch I call, shake it off.
Okay.
Sure. I I never shook her off because half the time, like not even half the time, like 90% of the time, she would call a pitch like I would be thinking in my head the same thing because I think just the way that she's like coached me just kind of is like hardwired me to think similarly to her.
Okay.
And yeah,
So when it comes to pitching, my dad had a couple questions. What is your arsenal? Because he says he saw you throw the changeup a lot, and he thinks that might be your favorite pitch. But is it your favorite pitch? Also, what is the hardest one to master? And the story behind the windup. He's like, she's got the longest windup I've ever seen in my life. There's got to be a story behind it. So he wants to know more about your pitching arsenal and things like that.
okay. Um, so I feel like I throw like all the basic pitches: fastball, changeup, screwball, curveball, rise ball, and drop ball.
Okay.
And so screw, obviously, I don't think they throw that in baseball, but it's like a pitch that goes like if I'm like a pitcher's view, if I'm the pitcher and you're the batter, the pitch goes like this.
Okay.
So it's like screw, curve, rise, drop, change is an off speed pitch, and then fastball. Um, yes, my favorite pitch is my changeup. I've been
Okay.
throwing it for a really long time, and yeah, I've just really worked on it for so long. So it's became like my bread and butter pitch when I need a strike. That's what I go to 90% of the time. And like to answer another question on top of that, favorite, I mean, hardest pitch to throw for me personally has been my rise ball and trying to
Hmm.
figure out like how to get people to swing at it because I do throw on the topper end of 60s, like high 60s, low 70s. Um, because I do throw hard is trying to figure out how to like where to start it to get people to swing at it. But some people might tell me that the changeup is the hardest pitch to throw. So it really just depends on the person. Rise ball was one of my later pitches that I learned. I think my changeup was the second pitch that I learned. So if that's any
Okay.
indicator, I've been throwing it. Um, yeah, but it's really just practice. I feel like anybody, if you want to get really good at something, you just need to practice and do it and fail doing it and figure out the best ways to execute. Because I feel like that when people come to me, asking me how can I start to throw harder, like people who want to do lessons are like, how can I throw harder? How can I do this? How can I do that? I'm just like repetition,
Yeah.
like really just practicing.
No, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Just keep it going. So the story behind the windup,
Yeah.
is there a story behind that?
No, I just made it up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there's really no story behind it. I changed my mind up going into my freshman year when I got to school to be like a little bit more together. And then I kind of just started adding like when I like put my glove up and then the little glove thing in the middle, like loop, and then sit in that squat. Actually, I've been told that the way that I pitch out of, like when I get to that little squat position, is like a very good starting position because it makes me like drive out of my legs. And I feel like when I
Hmm.
do talk to people who are other pitching coaches or are other pitchers, they say that sometimes they have difficulties with using their legs. So I kind of
Interesting.
like am
Forces
okay.
you.
Yeah, it definitely forces me to be more aware of like keeping my body together, not letting my like upper body be ahead or my lower body. I'm not giving you a pitching lesson right now. I'm just sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good. No, but
So
yeah, I can see how that going in the squat and you having to explode up definitely forces you to use your legs way more.
yeah. So that's my story on my wind up, which really
Nice.
there is no story. I just made it up.
Just
I wish I had a
keep adding
story.
to it.
Yeah, I wish I had a funnier story to tell him or like something fun, but I don't.
That hey, that's okay. He just wanted to know. He's kept thinking it's like there's got to be something behind it. But hey, now we know there's not too much behind it.
No.
So questions that I have for you:
Okay.
favorite uniform that you have worn?
The pinstripes.
The pinstripes. Okay, the
Yes.
black ones.
Yes, they're
The black
black
pinstripe.
and gold pinstripe. Definitely
Okay,
my favorite storm.
I like the icy whites. I thought you were going to go with that. I like
do
those
love
ones a
the
lot.
whites. If I have to go, like, if I'm gonna grade, based off of like my most favorite to wear, it goes the black and gold pinstripe, then the black night script, then the white, then the gray. But I love the white and the black too. But the pinstripes are my favorite. But I would choose any three of those. No
Okay.
comment.
Hey, that's okay. But I thought you were going to go icy white. I like those ones a lot. But it's okay. Favorite field to play outside of UCF or Washington?
Yeah. I'm gonna have to say Baylor definitely has a great facility. That was the first time I'd ever been to Baylor. And it's amazing.
That's over in Waco, right? Texas?
Yeah, good. Very humid.
Nice.
It was very humid when we played there. Oh my God.
Really?
Yes, it was very humid.
Beautiful Texas. Beautiful Texas.
Texas, everything's bigger in Texas.
All right. Which had nicer dorms, facilities, or even campus food? Washington or UCF?
So I don't live on campus. I lived on campus my first year at UCF. And then same thing at UW. I didn't live on campus my sophomore year. I don't know if I can say like one has better.
Oh, okay.
Personally, when my freshman year, I lived in like the shoebox dorm where it's like a traditional like two twin bed, one bathroom, like very small. So I'm gonna have to say that my housing I like better here because when I came to UCF, they had like apartment style dorms, so it was four bedrooms, two bathrooms, a living room, and a kitchen.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty big then.
Then you got your own sink, and it was super chill. So definitely, yeah, I would say just like the housing because I stayed in the bigger dorm here. It's
Okay.
better. But they're two different cities, two different vibes. I really loved both.
They got their own separate, unique things to them.
And I definitely I went back to Washington last summer to go hang out with some of my old roommates. We went on some hikes. Yeah, and it just happened to be great weather at that time because then they
Oh,
said
yeah?
like a few days after I left it was pouring. So,
Oh, really? So
yeah,
you just missed it.
yeah, I'm glad I did. It
Nice.
too bad here with the rain. Fun fact, during summer it's like monsoon season. So it will pour for like it'll like start raining for like an hour and then it'll stop. And just be back sunny. And
Yeah.
it's hot. It'll
Yeah,
be
that
like
kind of weather is crazy. The monsoon weather.
it'll be no, I can't. I can't.
Yeah. It's like a four seasons in 24 hours. It is freaking wild. Arizona gets them sometimes, and I'm all like, it was just 104.
Oh,
Now
I've
it's
seen
70 degrees, and it's pouring down rain. I'm like, holy cow. Would you rather play on turf fields, which it seems like a lot of people are going to, or natural grass?
I like natural grass better just because you can predict movement of the ball more than you can on a turf field.
Okay.
Just because the turf, the ball skips and it spins a little bit differently, especially like if it's wet. So I'm gonna have to go with the natural grass.
Okay. Yeah, I would say natural grass. Turf looks nice, but it just seems
Yeah,
like it's just a different animal to play on.
it is.
All right. Controversial question.
Okay.
Nothing that's going to get you canceled, but if
Say
you gave
that.
me if you give me 3 at bats, do you think I could get a hit off of you?
I don't know if you'd get a hit. I think you'd make contact.
Make contact? Hey, I'll take make contact. Am I putting it in play? Am I
Yes.
grounding out to the pitcher here?
You might. You might.
Okay, I'll take that. We should this summer if you come back, I would love to face a live AB.
We can do that.
All right.
I like to when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, I'll take you like 300." And I'm just like, if you think that the people that I play against who've been playing softball for all of their lives, like you've played baseball. So like
I haven't played since elementary school is the thing. So I'm all like, I don't know if I could get a hit. I might bloop it over the third baseman here.
but you've played the game. Some
That's
people
true.
they're
Yeah.
football players, soccer players are like, "Oh, I'll take you 400." I'm like, our field isn't even that big, so
If you could hit a softball 400, be my
you can
guess.
hit a softball 400 feet. They need to put you in a lab because 300 feet, getting close to 300 feet is crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, that is torched if you're getting over that. And then if you hit 400, yeah, you're an animal. You're an animal.
yeah.
It is unhuman like. So, last question I have. College Softball World Series is coming up. It starts on Thursday for us. You guys are probably watching this on Wednesday, if not Thursday, when the games are going. Do you have a clear-cut favorite on who's going to host the trophy again?
I think that anybody can win it, but obviously, like Oklahoma's definitely a big contender for that. But I mean, Duke is there for the first time. They're rolling on momentum, so I really think it's anybody's trophy if you just have to score more runs than the other team. But it's
Yeah.
about who's going to play their cleanest game of softball on defense, get a few clutch hits, and whose pitchers are going to dominate.
Yeah, no, it's definitely momentum stuff. Duke looks very good this year, though. They looked good in that regional against Missouri. Extra inning win, too. They look good in that. I really like Oklahoma State for some reason. I like your conference a lot. Oklahoma looks good. Texas looks good. Obviously, both are going to be top contenders. But I like maybe the Cowgirls squeaking in there as kind of fly under the radar kind of team. So I think that might be the team I root for this year.
All right. No, yeah, I can definitely say that Oklahoma State was a powerhouse hitting. Like I definitely had some trouble against them when I threw against them. They adjusted pitch to pitch very well. And they also have Lexi Kilfoyle as their starter with a few other pitchers in their arsenal that makes them a great contender team. So that's honestly, it's a pretty good guess right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously you go with the powerhouses, but last year I went with Florida State. I thought that they could maybe dethrone Oklahoma. Everyone
close.
likes the underdog story here, so I try to go with the underdog, and I think Oklahoma State could be a powerhouse underdog story for this year. So that's my pick.
We forgot about UCLA too. UCLA kind of snuck in under the
Oh,
radar with Georgia.
it's true.
So
They kind of gave me a little worry in the regionals, though.
yeah, I feel like their whole season they've kind of been off and on, but they held out, and their pitching has definitely like carried them quite a bit, and they've had some really good additions on the team in general.
Yeah, no, they look good. I got to root for the Pac-12 too.
Obviously, my Brady's a baller, so
Yeah. So definitely good softball to come up on Thursday. It ends on Sunday, I believe. So check out that. It's going to be on ESPN channels. So check out very good softball to watch. Maybe our picks will be right. Who knows? Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Well, Sarah, I appreciate you dropping in for this one, interviewing and just talking softball with me.
Absolutely, I'm always down to talk about the sport. But I'm always down to talk to you too, Miles. Come on.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. I appreciate that. Well, hey, when you come back out here, we'll hang out. We'll go get some In-N-Out and hit some live ABs.
Sounds good to me. Good talking.
All right. Hey, I'll leave her link down below for her Instagram, where you guys could watch her. I will leave our Instagram and Twitter, TikTok down low. Make sure you guys go follow that. If you guys are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, check out the YouTube channel because we edit a lot of things, a lot of stuff that doesn't get talked about. We add it in there including with pictures and descriptions. So go check out that. If you're on YouTube, go check out the Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just go give that a follow. It helps grow the channel even more. But I appreciate you guys listening to this one. Have an awesome weekend. 113 episodes in the books, and we'll see you guys later.